today, the New York Daily News put out an outrageous cover featuring the first daughter, Ivanka Trump. It reads, "Daddy's little ghoul," paper slamming Ivanka for being, quote, all smiles at the opening of the new U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem while there were deadly clashes going on in Gaza. And other members of the Trump-hating media also predictably chiming in, offering their displeasure about the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, which so many other presidents promised and never delivered. Watch this.
Tens of thousands of Palestinians held angry demonstrations yesterday, furious after the U.S. Embassy was moved to Jerusalem.
Palestinians have been protesting here against their lack of freedom for weeks. But their fury boiled over on Monday when the U.S. Embassy was officially moved to Jerusalem with President Trump's blessing.
Today, there is shock and sorrow and rage at that decision by President Trump to move the embassy to Jerusalem. It feels, for the whole region, like a fateful step.
55 people killed yesterday?
58.
58, and you had a split screen of what looked like a VIP tent at the Belmont Stakes. And they don't care. Seemed totally oblivious to what was going on.
When he announced the move to the embassy, I said there will be blood on his hands, not because he pulled the trigger, but because he destabilized the region with not having any clue about what he was doing.
You cannot have peace and a peace process without Palestinian involvement. You cannot have it. And so if you choose a side and you say, this is what I'm going to do, you're effectively saying you are not going to work for peace.
So maybe they don't really want it.
Well,
maybe they don't really want it.
All right, time for a Hannity tutorial, because the media seems to have forgotten that those Hamas-inspired protesters that were hurling rocks and firebombs at Israeli soldiers, okay, this is the same Hamas they never report that continues to call for the destruction of Israel. Oh, it's in their charter. They also pay the families of terrorists that literally kill Israelis and inflict pain and suffering on the people of Israel and Americans, too. Now, they use women and children as shields, and Hamas also receives support as the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism. They get support from Iran. Here with reaction, NRATV contributor, former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino, and from the Hill, Joe Concha. Dan, we'll start with you and the whole issue. Hamas charter calls for the destruction of Israel. They were elected by the Palestinians. They elected a terrorist organization supported by terrorist dollars.
Yeah, Sean, the media is just a propaganda arm here of Hamas. It's disgusting. It makes me sick. Sean, it's not a demonstration. It's not a protest when you show up with bombs. They were warned to stay away from the border fence. They decided to show up with explosives. You know, listen, for the liberals out there, the things that go boom and kill people, they were warned multiple times. And then when the Israelis engaged to defend the border, by the way, they established, after they gave the land back to Hamas, to the Palestinians, which they promptly used to shoot rockets into Israel. They defended their borders. Good for the Israelis. The media should be ashamed and embarrassed of themselves. I'm surprised Hamas doesn't have a desk in their newsroom.
I've been to the Gaza border. I've been where the tunnels where they use Israeli cement and electricity, Joe. I don't know many in the media that have done that. I've been to a town called Sarot, where 10,000 rockets were fired in 10 years and kids can't play outside. They have bunker playgrounds because there's not enough time from the border if a rocket is fired. 10,000 in one city in 10 years.
And yet, Sean, the Daily News continues to be, and Ben Shapiro said something similar like this before on this network, the propaganda arm for Hamas. Now, look, I've lived in the New York City area for a few decades, and the New York Daily News has always been seen as a joke to anybody who has any objectivity and a brain. They were teetering on bankruptcy for years, and it just leads to not only the fact that I know that media, and we say this many times, is distrusted at record levels. Among Republicans, it's more than 90%. And even among independents and Democrats, there's a majority that don't distrust or that mistrust the media. The problem is now that we're even at a loathing stage of the media like we've never seen before because of dishonesty like this and blaming Ivanka Trump and juxtaposing her with what's going on in Gaza as if she's smiling at death. It is pathetic, and it is the only word I can apply here.
Really well said, Dan. Last word.
Sean, the Israelis gave the Palestinians Gaza back. They used it to launch rockets into Israel. And now they told them, stay away from the border fence. They showed up with bombs, Sean. They showed up with bombs, and now they're using the media to advance their own narrative. It's disgusting. They're such suckers in the media.
You both are so on target tonight. Thank you both.